Imagine digging through a handful of old dirty change and suddenly realizing you're holding a Washington quarters, those worn out, scratched, forgotten coins hiding in jars, drawers, and pockets could secretly be some of the rarest treasures ever struck by the U.S. Mint. The 1977 era Washington quarter dollar. Picture this. You're holding a handful of old, dirty change. Nothing special, just the kind of coins you toss in a jar, coins that have lived in pockets for decades. But then one old, brown, grimy 1977 era Washington quarter dollar looks just a little different. You pick it up. You see the scratches, the dirt, the years of circulation. It looks worthless, ordinary, forgettable, the twist that makes collectors around the world lose their minds. Some of these old, dirty, beat-up 1977 quarters are hiding mistakes so rare. Let's start with the history, because the story of the 1977 quarter is tied directly to one of the most chaotic periods in U.S. Mint history. The mid-1970s were a transitional era. America had just finished producing the special bicentennial quarters for 1975 and 1976. Mint machinery had been pushed to the limit. Millions of planchets were coming in and out of production lines. And by the time the Mint returned to regular dates in 1977, the equipment was overused, worn down, and more prone to mistakes than ever before. That we have one of the most famous error types in Mint history, the double die. This happens when the design is impressed twice, slightly shifted, creating visible doubling on the letters, numbers, or even Washington's profile. A bold, dramatic double die can take a normal coin from a few cents to thousands of dollars instantly. A strong double die, especially one showing doubling on Liberty the date, or could easily sell for $1,000 to $5,000. And if a previously undiscovered high-strength double die emerges, auction houses could push the price to $20,000 to $50,000, or even six figures. Some 1977 era quarters were double struck, meaning they were struck once, then struck again with the coin slightly moved. These coins often show two sets of images, distorted profiles, and twisted rims. They look shocking, dramatic, and incredibly valuable. And of course, off-center strikes one of the most beloved error types ever. If the image is significantly shifted, especially 50% off-center or more, a off-center quarter can bring $2,000 to $10,000. And if both rings, the obverse and reverse, are visible, value skyrockets. One of my favorite stories comes from a collector who found a dirty, brown 1977 quarter in a parking lot. The rim looked strange. The weight was slightly off. After inspection, it turned out to be struck on an unplated foreign planchet. It sold at auction for over $12,000, and it looked like trash. And this is what makes this so exciting. It isn't just a coin, it's a sleeper. A silent giant. A coin many collectors ignored for years, now becoming one of the most hunted error quarters of the 1970s. Yet the most ordinary-looking coin could secretly be a masterpiece. Mistake one that slipped out of the Mint almost 50 years ago and has waited all this time to be discovered. That is the story and the thrill of the 1977 era Washington quarter dollar. A coin that may look worn, dirty, and forgotten, but could carry one of the most valuable Mint errors of its era. And if you enjoyed this journey and want more stories of rare coins that look like nothing but can be worth life-changing money, the 1974 era Washington quarter dollar. Imagine this. You're digging through an old box of coins. Maybe they're dirty, maybe they're worn, maybe they look completely ordinary. But suddenly, one coin stops you. It's dark, old, covered in years of dust and dirt. You wipe it with your thumb, and your heart skips a beat. Because buried inside that grime, you just might be holding some extremely rare cases. Experts say the right error can push values toward the unbelievable into the six-figure or even million-dollar territory. Let's begin with a mystery. The year was 1974, and the U.S. Mint was under pressure. New coinage demands were rising. Millions of quarters were being struck every day. Machinery was running at full speed, and engravers were preparing for something huge: the transition to the bicentennial designs for the 1975 to 1976 quarters. With all this rush, all this pressure, and all this nonstop production, mistakes were almost guaranteed to happen. Some mistakes were bigger than anyone expected. One of the rarest and most dramatic errors is the off-metal strike. Imagine a quarter that wasn't even supposed to be a quarter. This means a 1974 quarter could have been struck on a nickel planchet, a dime planchet, a cent planchet, or even blank metal intended for foreign coins the U.S. Mint was striking that year. These are mind-blowingly rare. A genuine off-metal 1974 quarter can easily sell for $5,000 to $10,000 and $25,000 or more, depending on weight, metal composition, and quality. And if it's an extremely rare foreign planchet strike, collectors will bid into the six-figure range. Then there's the double die. A true 1974 double die quarter, especially one with strong doubling on the words, can skyrocket in auction value. A bold, dramatic double die could bring $1,000 to $5,000, while an extreme example, if discovered today, could explode past $50,000 or more, especially if it's the first of its kind. And yes, the right discovery could absolutely reach even higher. Think about it, a single new double die variety can make headlines and fetch record-breaking prices. And that's not all. Some 1974 error quarters are clipped planchet errors, where part of the coin is missing due to a misfeed during punching. These aren't just valuable, they're historically important, because they show how chaotic the minting process was during those years. A dramatic double clip or curved clip could fetch $500 to $2,000, while a perfectly centered, dramatic, sharp clip on a high-grade example could go even higher. Then there's a truly wild one, the broad strike error. This is when the coin is struck without the collar, causing it to spread out larger than normal. A broad strike quarter in good condition could sell for $2,000 to $8,000, but if it's dramatically expanded or perfectly preserved, collectors may pay $1,500 or more. Now here's the part that excites collectors the most. Many of the most valuable 1974 era quarters don't look shiny. They're not perfectly clean. They're not bright or polished. They're not uncirculated. In fact, the most valuable ones came out of circulation, looking old, worn, dirty, or even damaged. A true error doesn't stop being valuable because it's dirty or scratched. If the error is dramatic enough, collectors don't care about the condition, they care about the mistake. Now let's bring this all together with real-world auction results. One struck on a clad planchet with a dramatic off-center strike sold for more than $10,000. Struck on a foreign planchet broke $15,000. A double struck brought over $20,000, and collectors say that the most extreme errors those yet to be discovered. The 1972 Washington quarter dollar. Imagine picking up an old, dirty, scratched, worn-down quarter, the kind of coin most people would ignore or use without thinking. Now imagine discovering that this same coin, this old, dull 1972 quarter, all because of a mistake the US Mint never intended to make. That's right, a simple error, hidden inside a coin that looks almost worthless, could turn into one of the biggest surprises of your life. The year 1972 was a time of massive production pressure at the US Mint. Millions of coins were being manufactured every day, using high-speed machinery that didn't always behave the way it should. Dies were wearing out faster than normal. Metal strips were misaligned. Foreign planchets were still being used at the mint for international coin contracts. And when all those problems combined, the result was a flood of mint errors that collectors today are willing to pay huge money. Some of the most valuable and dramatic mint errors of its era. Some of these coins have already sold for shocking amounts, $5,000 to $25,000, even six-figure levels. And if a major discovery appears like a new double die or a wrong planchet strike never documented before, it could easily break the $1 million mark. Now imagine finding a struck on a silver planchet. That alone could make it one of the rarest modern coins ever found. Silver errors have sold for $10,000 to $50,000, and if a unique silver planchet 1972 quarter were discovered, it could absolutely reach over $1 million, especially in today's booming error coin market. Other wrong planchet errors from 1972 include coins struck on foreign metals because the US Mint was still producing foreign coinage during that time. A struck on a lightweight foreign blank could be worth $20,000 to $50,000 or more, depending on the weight and metal composition. Collectors also go wild for double die errors, coins where the date, letters, or design appear double because of a misaligned die during production. Some double die coins from other years have sold for over $150,000. And if a strong, dramatic double die 1972 quarter ever surfaced, it would become an instant legend. Imagine doubling that alone could create a quarter worth life-changing money. Then we have one of the most visually dramatic and highly collectible error types, off-center strikes. These errors occur when the blank isn't correctly positioned in the press. A slight off-center strike might be worth $500 or $600, but a dramatic 40% to 60% off-center strike with the full date visible can bring $1,000 to $5,000 or more. If the design is extremely off-center and still shows the date clearly, the value can skyrocket. Another rare error found on 1972 quarters is the double strike, a coin struck twice or even 3 times in the press. If both strikes are aligned, the value might be small. But if the second strike is shifted, rotated, or overlapping the first design, the coin becomes extremely desirable. A dramatic double struck 1972 quarter can sell for $2,000 to $10,000, or even $20,000 depending on visibility and distortion. Imagine holding a coin so ordinary, so dirty, so worn, the 1971 D era Washington quarter dollar. How that you wouldn't think twice before dropping it into a vending machine. Imagine a coin that looks forgotten and ugly, maybe scratched, maybe darkened with age, maybe sitting untouched in a dusty drawer for decades, but inside that little piece of metal is a mistake made by the US Mint that turns it into one of the most shocking treasures in the entire world of numismatics. That is exactly why collectors today are hunting for the mysterious. To understand the value of the 1971 Washington quarter dollar, we need to go back to one of the most chaotic periods in the history of American coinage. The year 1971 was a turning point. The Mint had recently transitioned away from silver coins and was still adjusting its production lines. Billions of coins were being made at high speed. Dies were wearing down faster than expected. Machines were malfunctioning under pressure. And whenever speed meets stress, mistakes happen, mistakes that collectors today pay enormous premiums for. One of the most valuable categories of 1971 era quarters is the wrong planchet strike. These mistakes occur when the Mint accidentally places the wrong metal blank into the coining machine. For example, a quarter could be struck on a dime planchet, a cent planchet, a nickel planchet, or even more extraordinary, a leftover silver planchet from the 1960s struck on a silver blank would be one of the rarest modern coins ever discovered. Collectors also search aggressively for struck on foreign planchets. During this time, the US Mint struck coins for other countries. A leftover foreign blank entering the quarter press could create one of the most astonishing errors ever seen. These foreign planchet strikes, depending on weight and metal content, can bring $50,000 to $100,000 or more. Another highly valuable error, the double die strike. A double die occurs when the coin's design shifts during die creation, making the date, letters, or details appear doubled. Some double die American coins have sold for $50,000 to $150,000 and even more. If a strong double die were found with clear doubling on Liberty or the date, it could become a headline-making discovery worth astronomical amounts. Then there are off-center strikes, where the blank is misaligned in the press. These can range from minor to dramatic. A 40 to 60% off-center with a full date visible can sell for $500 to $5,000. If the off-center error is extreme and still shows the mint mark and date, values can skyrocket even more. Collectors are also obsessed with clipped planchets, where part of the coin is cut off due to misfed metal strips. A small clip might be worth $5,000 to $5,000, but a huge dramatic clip on it can fetch $500 to $2,000 or more. If combined with another error such as an off-center strike or a double strike, the value multiplies. Next, examine the edge of the coin. A normal clad quarter has a copper-colored center visible from the side. If the edge is fully silver-colored without any copper stripe, you may be holding a transitional error or wrong metal strike worth huge money. Then use a magnifying glass and check the date, mint mark, and lettering carefully. Look for doubling, thickened letters, shadowed numbers, or overlapping lines. The stronger the doubling, the higher the value. Imagine this for a moment. You're digging through an old jar of coins, maybe the kind your father or grandfather kept in the back of a drawer. You're not expecting anything special, just a few old quarters, dimes, maybe some pennies covered in dust and grime. But suddenly, something catches your eye. A dirty, worn-out 1970 Washington quarter dollar. It looks old, it looks forgotten, maybe even worthless. But what if I told you that this exact coin, yes, the old and dirty 1970 quarter people overlook every single day? If one tiny error on this coin could turn it into the kind of treasure collectors dream about, the kind of rare discovery, let's go back to the beginning. Because to understand why the 1970 Washington quarter dollar can be incredibly valuable, we need to understand what was happening in America at that time. The year was 1970. The country was going through major social and political changes. Coin collecting was exploding in popularity, and the US Mint was producing billions of coins to keep up with the demand of a growing economy. Most of these coins were minted normally, without anything unusual. But as we know in the world of numismatics, whenever billions of coins are produced, rare mistakes can happen. And when they do, the value skyrockets. One of the rarest and most valuable types is the wrong planchet strike. Imagine the Denver Mint having leftover planchets meant for a different denomination or even a different year. Every now and then, one of these slips into the presses used for quarters. So the result, a 1970 quarter struck on a nickel planchet, or even more incredible, struck on a silver planchet intended for another coin entirely. These wrong planchet errors can sell from tens of thousands all the way up to over $1 million, depending on the metal and how well preserved the error is. These are museum-level coins, but they exist, and they were found by regular people. Another major category is the double die error. A double die happens when the design accidentally shifts between impressions, causing the letters, numbers, or features of George Washington's portrait to appear doubled. on a doubling on the date, the mint mark, or the word liberty can mean big money. Some double-die quarters from the late 1960s and early 1970s have sold for $20,000 to $50,000, even $150,000 at major auctions. Imagine finding something like that in change. But the 1970D quarter gets even better. You've probably seen coins where part of the design is cut off. That's called an off-center strike. If the strike is extreme, say 40%, 60%, or even more while still showing the full date and mint mark, collectors go wild. These off-center 1970D era quarters easily reach $500, $1,000 to $5,000, and more depending on the severity and condition. And yes, people have found these in old jars, boxes, and even coin rolls. There are also clipped planchet errors, where a chunk of the coin is missing due to the metal sheet misfeeding during production. Most clipped coins aren't extremely valuable, but the clipped planchet quarter, especially if it has a large and dramatic clip, and bring $100 to $2,000 depending on size and rarity. And then there's the holy grail, the ultra-rare accidentally struck on foreign planchets. During the late 60s and early 70s, the US Mint was producing coins not just for the United States, but for other countries as well. Sometimes, leftover foreign planchets would remain in the machinery and get struck with US designs. A known example from this period includes coins struck on planchets meant for countries like the Philippines or Thailand. If someone discovers a 1970 D quarter struck on one of these foreign planchets, the value could reach $50,000 to $100,000, and in the most shocking cases, up to millions of dollars depending on the metal content and rarity. The 1970D Washington quarter dollar is one of the most exciting and mysterious modern coins in American numismatics. Its hidden errors, its chaotic minting history, and the incredible values attached to the rarest examples make it a true collector's dream. And that dream could become your reality at any moment.